Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss book 38 in R.L. Stine's Goosebumps original series, The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena. Came out December 95, 120-something pages long. This book is weird because it's awesome and then it just stops. And there's too many, like, loose ends. And some Goosebumps books, I'm going to put this down. Some Goosebumps books have their appropriate loose ends. You don't need to know what happens. It's very loosey-goosey. Did not intend that. Loosey-goosey Goosebumps. Ha! Hysterical. Certain things don't have to be explained. Certain things are just fine, you know. And then there was the knock at the door. Or then he put the mask on, right? Things, right? But this is very specific. I don't know how else to say that. This is very specific, and certain things happen, and then they're just glossed over, and then we flash forward, and it's weird, because certain events and things, right? So, honestly, I don't remember the main characters. I was just so mad at the ending, to be completely honest. Jordan and his sister, Nicole, right? Last name is Blake. Their dad is a photographer, so Jordan and Nicole, they get along when they have to, you know, defend themselves against the neighbors across the street, Kyle and Kara or something like that. Nicole has a friend named Lauren. They all live in Pasadena, California, right? So they've never seen snow. It's always been 100 degrees constantly. It's always sunny. They have the permanent tan, the permatan, because they're kids. They're always outside. They always are getting the sun rays, so they're just permanently tan. And their dad is a photographer, and he just got back from a trip or whatever. This is the first book, actually, which there's divorced parents, which I thought was interesting. It was a neat introduction to modern society, if you will, that it was being normalized. Their mom lives in Pennsylvania. They're not seeing their mom yet because her house isn't set up or something like that. But they're still in Pasadena with their dad. Why the split, why the dad has the kids, didn't explain that. It didn't have to be. That's fine. That's fine. Certain details we need to talk about. But that was fine. I thought it was neat having a divorced parent. Being, you know, sole custody owner of the children, taking them to Alaska, you know, for this abominable snowman expedition to get photos, right? So they're there, they're in Alaska, the kids are enjoying the snow, and then nobody listens to each other, and then, like, you know, the dogs that were hired, the huskies that were hired to, you know, bring the material up to this cabin, you know, on this mountain for them to camp out and take pictures of the tundra and you know, find this abominable snowman. Their guide that was going with them, he steals their food, he steals their packs, he steals everything minus the radio that, you know, was hidden in the dad's sleeping bag, and then just, like, goes off, and that's it. Saying, like, oh, you know, there's too many, you know, what was that roar, and why are things missing, and things, right? You know, abominable snowman things. But, like, the end of that part of the story is the dad radioing the helicopter to save them, and then we flash forward to California, where they have the abominable snowman, who they don't call a Yeti, but they have the abominable snowman in a trunk, and he's frozen in a block of ice because the kids have not a show-off, but, like, you know, a meeting of him as they fall into a cave kind of a thing, and the snowman loves trail mix. So then, like, somehow the snow in that cave specifically that's around the snowman, like, is very specific to the snowman. So, like, it can melt when he wants it to. It can freeze by itself. Specific. So the kids make snowballs. Everything's tucked away in the trunk. They go back to California. But it's just quick. It's the guy leaves them on the top of the mountain. They then radio the helicopter. And then we flash forward to them going into the dark room, which is a shed in their backyard, where the trunk is, with the snowman inside, where the dad's now developing the pictures, but there's no pictures of the Yeti, of the snowman. There's just snow and snow. So why is the snowman, you know, coming up on the pictures? You know, what's up with that? So the dad does something, says, don't touch the snowman. And what do the kids do? The kids touch the snowman. So they open the trunk to get out the snowballs that they had, you know, within the trunk as well. And so they're throwing them, and one of the snowballs hits a palm tree, and then it just explodes in snow everywhere, covered the backyard. It's 100 degrees outside, Southern California, and now everything is covered in snow. And they're like, okay, well, this is magic going on, but then this mythological creature, you know, they have to get him out of the snow because they realized when they were in the cave with him, he hugged them and they were warm and, everything was fine. So in theory, the snowman hug would melt the snow, which is important because Nicole is now turned into this frozen Nicolesicle because her friend Lauren threw a snowball, froze her. So Jordan goes to the kitchen, gets trail mix, wakes up the Yeti, if you will, wakes up the snowman, if you will. He breaks out of the ice. He unfreezes Nicole. He unfreezes, the palm tree. He unfreezes the grass. And then he runs off. And that's it. And then the dad comes home, and then we have a flash forward of them all sitting down eating pizza, and he says, for the 5th time, quote unquote, "I'm so glad your kids are safe." And that's it. And then the kids see that the 2 kids across the street who they don't like, Kyle and Kara, are digging up the snowballs that they've buried in a bag under the sand. That way nobody ever touches them again. And then Kara throws one. And that's it. So the last 10 pages of this 127 book, something like that, 127 pages for this story. Hang on one sec. 127 pages. Yeah. The last 10 pages was the snowman in Pasadena. 117 pages was the snowman getting to Pasadena. And then the last 10 pages was the snowman in Pasadena, but all he did in Pasadena was hug a palm tree, hug a girl, roll around in some grass, and that's it. That's all he did. He ran away. It's weird. It's weird because you have this build up for this cool story arc, but then they're left on the mountain, then we flash forward. But what happened with that guy? Why did he leave? Aside from being scared, was he reprimanded? Was he thrown in jail for an abandonment? What happened with that? And then why did we only get 10 pages of the snowman in a backyard in Pasadena? What happened to him? What is he doing now that he's, out and about in the streets of Pasadena, California? It's strange. I don't think there's a sequel. The 2018 Goosebumps film, Happy Halloween or Sloppy Halloween, whatever it's called. He has a big appearance in that, and he's just like he's described in here, the brown with the snow on him and the pinkish face, and that. This character design is in the movie, and it was great seeing him in the movie, and he brings the blizzard with him, right? But there's mythology to this character, which is reminiscent to the Cave from Under the Sink, because that was mythology about those creatures. Now we have mythology about this abominable snowman, who they took from Alaska and brought him to Pasadena. But what happened? At least in It Came From Under the Sink, there was an ending of that one particular thing, and then the thing's cousin popped up at the end, the potato with the teeth or whatever it was called. But that was a story. It gave us explanation. It gave us that what happens next, and we didn't need to know what happens next. It was a beautiful wrap up. I love that book. This was weird because it was 117 pages of getting to the snowman in Pasadena, and he's just in a backyard chilling, and then goes on his merry way. But what does he do? What does he do? It's weird. This is an example of we need an ending, whereas other Goosebumps books we don't need an ending. I don't know. I liked parts of it. I really liked parts of it. I just wanted more. I wanted a full story. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. It wasn't as structured. That's the good word for it. It wasn't as structured as the other Goosebumps books. So I'm curious why. And I want to know what happens. And that's it. That's all I got. On to the next review. Mahalo.